This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, FDA approved for over 20 years. So, talk to your specialist to see if Botox Cosmetic is right for you.
For full prescribing information, including boxed warning, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
Remember to ask for Botox Cosmetic by name. To see for yourself and learn more, visit BotoxCosmetic.com. That's BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
The Eagles taste defeat for the first time since week 4 of the NFL season. Guys, welcome to the Eagles Checkdown, the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast there is, covering news, notes, and opinions on your favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, right here on the Eagles Pin Pull Podcast Network. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. You can find me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge, and as always, hosting Trending in the AM Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on the STT Sports Network. There's a link down below if you want to air your grievances about this Eagles loss. And yes, the Eagles did lose to the Washington Commanders 36-33, keeping the NFC East in play for Washington and not locked up yet for Philadelphia. And there's a lot all week to dive into this game. I'm sure all week long we will go into the X's and O's. But as always, it's Monday, and I'm recording this Sunday night, literally about 10 minutes after the game ended. So this is the overreaction version of this show every single week. But first and foremost, the number one thing that we need to dive into and get into before we get into the stats, before we get into the X's and O's, is just the simple fact that Jalen Hurts went down very early in the first quarter with a concussion, did not return to the game. And guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little worried about Jalen Hurts going forward, at least over the next couple weeks. The hit that Jalen Hurts took from that Washington defender, I won't even say his name, because he wasn't flagged for it, of course. Of course, you're not going to throw flags when anybody's hitting Jalen Hurts. He's taken bigger hits to the helmet before and not had any flags called. The hit that he took there was very, very, very closely similar to the hit Carson Wentz took from Jadeveon Clowney in 2019. And we know how that ended for him. Jalen Hurts looked wobbly. Jalen Hurts looked confused after it. Jalen Hurts looked like he thought he was allowed to go back into the game. He clearly was not. Jalen Hurts tried to go back in the game, wasn't allowed to. There was definitely some things off there with Jalen Hurts after that concussion. It was a shot to the back of the head. His face was driven into the ground. It's a very dangerous play that the NFL continues to say that they care about player safety. They continue to make rules for player safety, but yet continue to fail to call those plays against Eagles. We can go back to the hip drop tackle and all the rules made about that. And then A.J. Brown last week almost gets hurt on a clear hip drop tackle. The face masks that the Eagles have taken over the last couple of weeks. It's a shame that the NFL officiating, honestly officiating in all sports, has gotten to the point where you have to question their integrity. And, clearly there are some issues there. But I am going to be very concerned with Jalen Hurts all week long. We're going to talk a lot about Jalen Hurts all week long. I know it's Christmas week. We will still have a show every day this week except for Christmas morning. So, I'm very concerned. Kenny Pickett, there's going to be a lot of criticism of Kenny Pickett this week. Kenny Pickett in relief was 14 of 24, 143 yards, one really bad interception, and one really solid touchdown throw in this game. But Kenny Pickett's a backup. Kenny Pickett hasn't played since the preseason. Kenny Pickett did what he needed to do as best as he could in the situation he was put in. There was a big drop from Saquon Barkley that would have been a first down, and there was a big drop from Devontae Smith on the last Eagles drive of the game that would have resulted in a touchdown that would have locked this game up. So Kenny Pickett, while he's going to get criticism, while I'm no Kenny Pickett fan, Kenny Pickett did just enough to get to keep the Eagles in the game. He also rushed for 13 yards and a couple carries. He did take a couple sacks that he probably shouldn't have. He missed some throws. He was behind on some throws. Way more zoned in on A.J. Brown than even Jalen Hurts is at times throughout the game. But you know what? I'm not going to blame Kenny Pickett for this game. I'm going to blame the Eagles' defense. I'm going to blame the drops. I'm going to blame the refs for ejecting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for 2 unnecessary roughness calls. And when you get 2 of those 15-yard penalties, you get ejected. The first one he was ejected for, he was punched in the face, and he got a personal foul call on it. The second one, we don't even know what happened on the second call that got him ejected because, according to the NFL on Fox crew, Greg Olson and company, we don't have a good enough camera angle to show you what happened that got him the foul and got him ejected. You got 3,000 cameras on that field. Not one of them picked up what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was doing there. The officiating was not good on either side of the ball on Sunday at all in this football game. And this is a reoccurring thing in not just Eagles games, just football games, period, and sporting events, period, across the country. It's just an epidemic right now. And maybe I'm getting too opinionated in this episode, but the officiating on Sunday, there should have been quite a few. Outside of Jalen Hurts' injury, also you had Jordan Davis go down in this game. Josh Sweat missed a big chunk of the game. He did come back in late. Darius Slay got banged up. Will Shipley had a concussion in this game. Nakobe Dean left the game with an injury for a very brief period of time. There were a lot of injuries in this game. And, I said all week long leading up to this game, the number one key to the game was the Eagles coming out of this game, win or loss, healthy. And they did not come out of it healthy. And that's the biggest loss in this game isn't the actual game itself. It's the amount of injuries that piled up in this game at a very bad part of the season. There's only 2 weeks left. We're going to have to at least win one more game here to, lock the division up. The number 1 seed is out of the equation now. The number 1 goal now is to win the division and rest the players as much as we can in Week 18. And if Jalen Hurts can't play next week, do we have confidence in Kenny Pickett doing that? Kenny Pickett got banged up in the game. Tanner McKee, you saw him on the sideline warming up at one point. He took 2 big shots to his throwing shoulder and his throwing arm in the game. Now, Kenny Pickett might be better if he has to start next week, getting a full week's worth of practice. But we can't be relying on Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's not going to catch lightning in a bottle like Nick Foles or anything like that. We got to understand what the limitations Kenny Pickett has. But again, Kenny Pickett didn't do an awful job. The second biggest thing that I took away from this game, outside the injuries, I guess the third biggest thing, outside the injuries, outside of the bad officiating, was that the defense gave up 36 points, the most points they've given up all year long. They gave up 22 points in the fourth quarter. This defense had 5 takeaways on the Commanders and still gave up 36 points. Jane Daniels was good today, but I don't think Jane Daniels was amazing or anything. You have Brian Robinson with how many fumbles today? Daniels, 2 interceptions. 1 interception was just so atrocious. Actually, both interceptions were really, really bad throws from him. This game was given to the Eagles, even with the injuries and the officiating on a silver platter, and the Eagles defense came up small. The game-winning touchdown. Zach Bond. He's playing great all year. Defensive player of the year, going to earn a big contract. He looked lost on that play. The Eagles defense failed to wrap up enough times, giving up big runs to Jane Daniels multiple times for first downs. I think, 30 yards almost on 4th and 11? And you give him a 30-yard rush? He had 81 rushing yards. That's not good enough. So, to me, a couple things come out of this game. One, it's the health and the injuries and stuff like that, the officiating, the defense. And finally, it just goes to show how important Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts' MVP odds should go up and get better after only playing 5 minutes of football on Sunday, because I think on Sunday we proved how important of a leader Jalen Hurts is, how great of a quarterback he is, and everything. Because, Washington wasn't respecting Kenny Pickett 1 iota in this game. So I know I'm all over the place here today, but this just goes to show what this loss does. But you know what? It's one loss. This is a game that we can learn on. It's good to get smacked in the face a little bit. We haven't even gotten into the rest of the stats on this team. We'll get into them throughout the week. Saquon Barkley had a big game, but most of that was in the first quarter. A.J. Brown had a nice, solid game. Grant Calcaterra cannot block one iota. We learned that for sure, without a doubt. We only had the one Nolan Smith sack early in the game. We never wrapped up the rest of the game. Jalen Carter played well again. Milton Williams played well again. Alex Hunt had a sneaky good game. Darius Slay had a phenomenal game most of the game when he was actually out there on the field. Lots to dive into this week. But, guys, Jalen Hurts is the MVP of this team. Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback, and we lost him maybe for, another week or so even, because, again, like I said, the concussion looked a lot worse than I think people realize. So we'll monitor it all week long. We'll talk about it all week long, guys. This is the Eagles Checkdown right here on the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network. Check out China in the AM today, 8 a.m., or on replay on the STT Sports Network. I linked the show down below. You can check it out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Guys, it might be a loss. It might be a 36-33 loss to the Commanders, but it's still go Birds, and it still bubbles up.
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.